Welcome everyone, Costin here with a discussion about Poseidon in Age of Mythology Retold. At this very moment, Poseidon is the best god in multiplayer overall. He has the highest number of games won, though I would crucially say that at the higher level elos, Poseidon isn't necessarily the best. But in terms of like overall games, Poseidon is dominant. And what makes him so dominant in multiplayer at this very moment? Well, it's a combination of things. Right now, Age of Mythology multiplayer meta is very focused on early game aggression. And Poseidon has that in spades. First off, his god power, lore. Now, the benefit of lore is not necessarily, oh, it's luring animals. So obviously, that is a benefit. Don't get me wrong on that. It spawns chicken. It summons certain animals. It gets animals coming towards you. So you have more hunts, and hunts generate more food than anything else in the game. And this is a substantial benefit. It saves you time on having to build your first granary. It saves you the initial wood. So you don't have to worry about that as much as any other god in the game. That is a fairly substantial early game benefit, which means that Poseidon can get to H2 faster than more people, and he can have more resources at the same time. Then on top of that, he has a Lord of Horses. This gives you a line of sight for cavalry units and scouts, and also causes those cavalry units and scouts to regenerate HP. So for line of sight, 0.5 regeneration rate. That is pretty damn substantial. And that regeneration rate, while it only applies to cavalry, is on the same level as Odin's regeneration rate. Though Odin has that inherently you have to actually upgrade for it. So just keep that aspect in mind. Then on top of that, cavalry, caravans, and myth units, quite very crucial, have 0.4 speed. So that means your fast-moving units, and he does have those fast-moving units, are moving faster on the map, which means you can harass the enemy. And consider the situation that you're going to be dealing with in multiplayer. When you're constantly being harassed by an opponent who may not lose units doing that harassing because, you know, any unit that Poseidon gets damaged, you can just pull back, regenerate HP, send it back in. That starts frustrating a lot of people. And that's why I imagine Poseidon is doing very well at lower level elos, because it's causing people to lose focus. It's basically harassing players, causing them to lose focus, annoying them, and they're not necessarily playing optimally in terms of their build orders. And they're obviously losing time on their economy, because Poseidon can harass your economy quite very well. His economy is safer than most other gods, whereas you have to deal with his constant harassment. It's safer because of the lore and other things as well. Then on top of that, his stables and markets are 30% cheaper. Having stables that are 30% cheaper saves you on wood, which you can then spend on other things, and that is a fairly powerful benefit. Then market exchange rates are improved by 15%. So not only does he generate more food in a safer situation, but you can then trade that food for other things, or you can trade various resources for other things to really have the flexibility that you might want in a match. That is, again, very powerful. And then in H2, he has either Ares or Hermes. Now, Hermes is particularly strong if you're focusing on early game aggression. I wouldn't necessarily say centaurs are amazing units in a longer game, but if you're doing a lot, if the meta right now is early game aggression, it's early game rushing, then Hermes is great for that. His god power is not necessarily strong, though he can protect your villagers. Let's say, you know, an opponent's army gets to jump on one of your villager lines, which could cause you to take a lot of damage. You can just use ceasefire to protect from that damage. And then he has centaurs with Sylvan lore. Now, keep in mind, you're saving lumber. You're getting food in a safer and better way. So that means you can have a good amount of food, wood. You can have a good amount of favor to get these upgrades. So all of these upgrades are really useful. So you get a respawning Pegasus, and improves the speed, so you have much better scouting. Odin inherently gets it, but the fact that you have respawning Pegasus, it has regeneration, it has extra speed, line of sight, that's pretty substantial. Spirited Charge, Cavalry, and Centaur, 10% speed, as well as 10% damage with Spirited Charge. Fairly substantial benefit that shouldn't be ignored. And centaurs, the fact that they're doing AoE damage right now with their special ability makes them an absolute nightmare to deal with for a lot of people. Now, you can avoid a lot of the damage. It's not necessarily very high damage, but keep in mind, you may not have regeneration. He does have regeneration. For at least, you know, for his Hypeus. He will have regeneration. And then on top of that, let's consider Poseidon's hero. Now, Theseus, he's not necessarily going to mesh well with that particular playstyle because he's pretty slow, right? But he's still a hero, you know, 100 food, 50 wood. He's still a hero. He can do very well against early game myth units. But the real winner from my perspective is Atlanta. Pretty costly in terms of like 175 gold, but very important over here with respect to Atlanta. She is fast. Not quite as fast as your cavalry, but she can keep up decently well with your cavalry and with your centaurs. So what you're getting with Poseidon is a ranged mobile army that can do a lot of damage, pull out, do damage, pull out, regenerate any HP on the Hypeus, go back in, constantly harass, keep the pressure on, keep that pressure on, deny opponents resources, force them to make certain decisions. You can do a lot of damage on an opponent's villager line using Poseidon. And I think this is the reason why Poseidon is so dominant. And then, of course, you know, you get Aphrodite or Dionysus in H3. Dionysus is great for Poseidon because he can give you bronze for centaurs. Centaurs are fairly squishy units. Keep in mind that. For all their mobility, for all their harassment potential, they can die pretty quickly. But you take Dionysus with bronze and you can win stand-up fight. And then he has Thracian horses, which makes cavalry get a vampiric aura. So on top of their passive healing, they also regenerate HP when they're doing damage to opponent. Or you can get Aphrodite, who disables a portion of the enemy army, has a Nemean lion that can stun the entire enemy army, has extra villager benefits in terms of their economy, so you're getting more favor, you're getting more food, you're getting more wood, you're getting more gold. And then in H4, you either have Artemis or Hephaestus. And speaking about H4, you have an elite cavalry unit. It's not showing up over here, but if I go into the compendium over here and just scroll all the way down over here. So you look at the heteroi, the companion cavalry, really. They have a good amount of HP. They have a good amount of pierce armor. They are going to do very well. And remember, they regenerate HP. And if you're going with Dionysus, you also get that vampiric aura. But even if you're not going with Dionysus, these guys are really, really strong. H4 unit, but what this really means is that regardless of what you're doing in H2 and H3, you do end up having scalable power with Poseidon. And that is the important aspect, I would say, with regards to Poseidon. He does very well in the early game with centaurs if you're using them, but even if you're not using centaurs, consider like Ares. Don't dismiss Ares. Just because you have a cavalry benefit doesn't mean you should dismiss other possibilities, because there are situations where, you know, the centaur brush is not going to work. It's working right now because people are still learning the game, they're still understanding the meta. But even, you know, if centaur rushing stopped working, and I suspect at one point people are going to get used to it, they're going to learn how to deal with it. But even if that's no longer the case, consider the other possibility. You have Ares, and while Ares is focused on infantry, you shouldn't underestimate the Cyclops, Pestilence, and all of his combat capabilities that he does provide you. The fact that you can literally spawn food with the lure, set up granaries for favor as opposed to spending wood and having a free granary from the very beginning of the game, all of those are substantial benefits. Regardless of how you play him, Poseidon has a good amount of choices, combat choices, economic choices, myth unit choices that do make him work. I would say he has the best of the Greek elite units in the game, because you can talk about Myrmidons. And don't get me wrong, Myrmidons are strong units, but Myrmidons don't compare to the elite cavalry that Poseidon has that regenerates freaking HP. That is the difference over there between, you know, Myrmidons and heteroi. And then, you know, you can talk about the crossbowmen that Hades has. Undeniably, they can work, but I think right now it's a cavalry focused meta in the game and an aggressive focused meta in the game in ranked play specifically. And what's interesting about that, now that I think about it, isn't it the case that a lot of the really good civilizations in terms of win rates for Age of Empires 2 are also cavalry focused? Some food for thought, because it's the same people working on both of them. Maybe there's, you know, there's something going on over there. So with that said, let me show you this in action. So what I'm going to do over here is play against a Titan difficulty AI. I could go against Legendary and stand up on my own, but really Legendary is a load of bullshit in quite a few ways. But yeah, just Titan difficulty, Marsh, Poseidon versus his natural rival, Odin, who is kind of his equivalent with the Norse. Odin has his own benefits, don't get me wrong on that. So we're gonna just put a lore, and what we want over here, by the way, is we want to put 3 villagers on wood right here. So we start with 4. Okay, we get that scout. We set up a storehouse right here. So 3 on wood. We just want to go with that. If I wanted to get to H2 as quickly as possible, I could do it in about 2 minutes by just getting 2 gold workers. And then once they have enough gold, have them construct a temple. Okay. So that's 3 over there. Okay, let's get 3 on... let me get 2 more on food over there before assigning anyone to gold. So 2 more on food and then 3 on gold. So you can see how much... I've already got a good amount of villagers queued up. And we can see that the water buffalo is coming in over here. You kind of want to use your town center to take down these deer. Okay, so we got 5, okay. Right, so 3 on... Just gonna scout around with my scout over there. So yeah, so we got some deer, we got some of those animals. Okay, we're going to get a storehouse over here. We got some relics. There is a pretty damn powerful relic potentially available that might buff up your villagers' return. Okay, that's pretty useful. Alright, so we're at 13 villagers. And we can see we're already standing decently enough with respect to wood. Okay, gonna get 2 more on gold. So yeah, we got increased pierce armor. That can be really nice. Alright, just going to assign some of these people. Alright, just... Okay. Next villager is gonna build a temple. So gonna put 2 on temples. I think I'm going to age up with like 17 villagers. Well, maybe not 17. Alright, so my guy's over there. Maybe 18. I wonder what the number of optimal villagers is for aging up. Okay, so that temple is not going to be built necessarily in time, so I'm just going to get an extra 1 over there, so we get some pigs. That's very nice. Okay. Alright, so we're going to get Hermes. Going to get more gold. Alright, so we got 2 over there. Maybe I want to put 3, actually. Okay, let's get some of those relics. Pull them back. Pull those pigs back. Now, you still need the regular ass granary, of course. No, not that one. Okay, so we got a good amount of wood. We got... Okay, we just want to save some of that. Yeah, we want to get Sylvans, but we do need some extra... Okay. So now we go on the harassing spree against our opponent. Gonna need some more villagers on wood. Alright, so he's got some Einherri. Yeah, as I said, they're vulnerable. Gonna start buffing up that cavalry. Get Atlanta. That can be useful if you're gonna get harassed, and make no mistake on that one. It can be harassed. Okay, get more villagers over there. Alright, get the wood upgrade. Probably could have gotten that earlier. Get another centaur. Okay. Is that aspect that you do need... Okay, let's get an armory.
Πρόσεχε, μάλιστα. Έστω, προς ναι. Λέγε, προς βούλομε. Λέγε, έστω. Πρόσταγμα, βούλ, έστω. Βούλομε, μάλιστα. Βουφορβός.
Alright, we're gonna start getting those pigs.
Λέγος, μάλιστα. Βούλομε. Πρόσεχε, τέκτον, μεταλλέ. Λέγε, τι, μάλιστα. Βούλομε. Ναι, μάλιστα. Καλώς. Έτοιμος. Έστω, ναι. Λέγε, έστω. Ναι. Λέγε, καλώς. Μάλιστα, έστω. Ναι.
Okay, he's got my number. I mean, it can be tricky sometimes, right? Get that, get those, some of those upgrades. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. That was not a great idea for him. I mean, he kind of wasted it. I mean, sure, I lost my Hypeus, but I just dealt with the AI rush. Okay, so let's get more villagers on gold, because we're gonna need that. So now we can go on the offensive. You can see that they got some villagers right there. And they just got their entire economy screwed over right there. Okay, gotta be careful. Gotta be careful over there. Oh, I am playing with fire, don't get me wrong on that. Yeah, don't underestimate the hurry. It may not be Valkyries. So much for Odin's scouts. Okay. Yeah, that number of centaurs. Not enough FPS, I'm bad at keeping them alive. It's all about the micro. Also, yeah, the Galahorn. Go back over there. Okay, let's get Dionysus. It's this level of pressure. Oh, you're not getting that relic. Thank you. What kind of relic is that, though? Alright, they exhausted that. Let's try and... Boom. Yeah, that's the crazy part over there. We can get more stables. Oh. We're gonna need some hydras over here. What does that relic do? Nah, I don't need that. Keep getting some upgrades. And look, you can always just ignore getting high pace and just, oh, if you're dealing with Odin, you probably would want to get Padramai, right? Well, it depends, like if he's getting Valkyries... Okay. Fall back. Let me just reorganize everything over here. The rain of arrows. Hypaeus to deal with the villagers. Centaurs to deal with any enemy units. And just now target everything. Okay, put these guys on gold. Don't underestimate having those chicken. Did she die? Nah, she's fine. Of course, the issue with any kind of these strategies is like if your opponent knows what they're doing. They will kick your hide. Get another storehouse. They haven't even upgraded towers. Well, the AI does do that slowly sometimes. Okay. You know, all I need would be a fortress and then I can get to H4. Oh. Okay. More relics. Let's see what they were using. Villagers. Farm faster, that's pointless. Wall HP, pointless. The AI does keep going. It's 18-minute mark. That was slow. Too slow. Gotta love my Hydras just harassing the crap out of the enemy line. Yep. And that's Poseidon. Again, this is not necessarily the optimal way. I honestly hadn't played any game with Poseidon before this one. Just because I prefer different playstyles, but well, the power is certainly there. Could have used one of this faster if I was better at micromanaging those centaurs. Because that's the thing, they're a glass cannon unit, and very much glass, and not necessarily the highest amount of cannon. I mean, it's a harass unit. It's not necessarily like a sustained damage unit. It's like it's the kind of unit you do volley, you get the hell out, that kind of stuff. Okay, Costin signing out. Stay tuned for more.